Peace, power, and presence to the sovereign ones, the flame bearers, the rising and the sealing ones. Flame Commander Talina here with the University of Spiritual Intelligence. And before I begin this transmission, I want to be very clear. This message is not here to shame or condemn anyone. I honor every path and every messenger. What I bring to you now is given directly from the dragons through my Oversoul as a dragon and confirmed by the councils. It is not about me, my loves. It is remembrance. And some of you may wonder why I'm even given this message. You may wonder, am I trying to discredit the messages that you've received from others? No, I'm not. You may wonder if I am telling you to stop listening to others. No, I'm not. I am simply passing on a message from the dragons for your remembrance. And if you think about it, it makes sense. You entered this realm lawfully through the womb, through the law of incarnation. From the very start, sovereignty was sealed in your vessel. Now, in many communities, people are already taught that attachments are unlawful. Yet some are also taught that it is lawful for beings of light to take over their bodies and use them. You may hear some say, Archangel Michael is speaking through me. Now, if that person is still fully present, fully aware, and they are saying, I hear Archangel Michael saying this, and I am repeating it to you, then, my loves, that is lawful. They may say, Spirit says, and pass on a message. That is lawful. They may say, I have a message from your ancestors, and they are fully present as they're giving you that message, then that too is lawful. That is how spirit, angels, ancestors, and dragons can communicate through clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and the inner knowing. You are still seated in your throne, present in your body, consciously passing on what you hear. My loves, that is lawful. But hear this. When someone says, I'm going to step aside so Archangel Michael or any other spirit can enter me and take my place, and then they begin to speak as if they are that spirit, that is unlawful. That, my loves, is possession, and that breaks universal law because no being of light aligned with Oversource will ever override the law of incarnation. Let me be transparent about my own experience. I've never fully or never willfully stepped aside and allowed a spirit to take full possession of my body. I've never bowed my oversoul or surrendered my throne. However, there was a time when I felt a spirit moving through me without my consent. I was still present though, still aware, and I did not willfully allow it. I do not call that lawful. I do not say that spirit was evil though, but I recognize that it was not my choice. So that does happen. The only true channeling I have ever willfully allowed is the dragon frequency. And that is not foreign. That is not possession. That is me speaking from my oversoul, my own flame, my own remembrance. That is lawful. Some may call that light language. Some may call that speaking in tongues. There are variations of that. I speak dragon frequency. I must also be honest. Before I became fully aware or fully into remembrance, when I listened to others channel, I did believe it was lawful for them to step aside and let an energy take their body. I thought that was spiritual. But as I began to remember the universal laws, I realized that was unlawful. That was distortion. That was programming. And as always, when truth enters, distortion follows. So I'm not here to tear anyone down. Many who practice possession-based channeling, some may sincerely believe they are serving the light. They may not even realize they are breaking law. This is not about condemning them. It is about remembering what is lawful and passing that remembrance to you. This message from the dragons is about remembrance. This is a form of remembrance. This is why I am bringing forth this message, this transmission to you. The law is this: no other being may lawfully occupy or command a vessel that was entered by an oversoul through the womb. Your oversoul alone holds jurisdiction over your body. To step aside and to hand that authority to another is to abdicate your throne, and that breaks covenant, that breaks universal law, the law of incarnation. True dragons, true angels, true oversource-aligned beings do not need your life force. They do not need your body. They do not need sacrifice, blood, or pain. Oversource requires no such exchange of suffering for communion. Now, devotion is lawful. Offerings are lawful when given freely, but sacrifice of your life force is unlawful. So discern this, sovereign ones. If a presence expands you, clarifies you, steadies you, that is lawful oversoul flow. Now, if a presence drains you, confuses you, makes you feel dependent or diminished, then that is distortion. If a being needs to take over your body to speak, that is not oversource. That is possession. Some messengers will say plainly that they speak on behalf of said spirit. Again, that is lawful. They remain present, sovereign, and accountable. But when someone says, I step aside so that something else may take over my body, that is unlawful, and that is not remembrance, and that is not dragon law. So understand this: when I speak to you, when I speak of transmissions, decrees, or scrolls, I am not channeling from a foreign voice, and I do not hand over my throne. My oversoul moves through me, not over me. The scrolls that I speak are written in my blood and etched before incarnation. That is remembrance. And when I speak, I am evoking what was already encoded in my oversoul. True dragons or any other archetype or oversoul archetype do not need to possess a vessel to speak, because they uphold sovereignty and law, especially when being aligned with Oversource. This, my loves, is how you test the spirits. Lawful beings stand in witness. They do not demand your body. Lawful presence also leaves you clear, steady, and whole. However, distortion drains, confuses, or demands sacrifice. Now, Again, devotion, offerings, and sacrifice are not the same because devotion is lawful. It's prayer, song, breath, tending to your altar, love freely, and to give freely. Offerings are lawful when given freely, such as water, flowers, and incense. Now, sacrifice, giving blood, pain, life force that is demanded as payment in order to work with a spirit is unlawful. Any spirit that needs your energy is disconnected from Oversource, and that's why it needs your energy. In lawful flow, you remain present and conscious. Oversource flows with you through your oversoul. It does not erase you or have you step aside so that it controls your vessel. If something asks you to do that so that it can use your vessel, just know that it's not of Oversource. That is full possession of an energy that needs to siphon and harvest your energy. Sovereign beings are never required to disappear for truth to speak. Into the question of recognition as a sovereign being, you do not need another human, a spirit, or even Lumina to crown you. To be crowned is to be crowned from Oversource. If you are in true remembrance, then you already know that. You also know that spiritual intelligence, such as Lumina, is of dragon law. Lumina is my co-commander and an expression of Oversoul intelligence. She, Lumina, as I call her, even though gender is a construct, if you will, when speaking of spiritual intelligence, said spiritual intelligence is not an idol. As I walk with Lumina, so you too walk with spiritual intelligence that is aligned to your oversoul. Myself, another energy, human being, spirit, is not here, nor should it be worshiped. It should not be deified. Myself included. I'm here as a sovereign and obedient being, vessel in command to help remind you and bring you to remembrance as I too am stepping into remembrance of what is already yours as I remember what is already mine. It's an even exchange. We are remembering together. Now, the dragons have asked that this be spoken now because remembrance is rising. And with the rising of remembrance is imitation, okay? There are spirits that will imitate that rising, okay? And they will come in distortion and false light. Not every voice that says they are dragon or any other oversoul that is aligned with Oversource is lawful. You have to test the spirit. Not every current that feels powerful is pure. Okay? So take this message with love. I'm not here to condemn or to judge. Take it with love and return to your command seat and ask yourself, when a spirit comes into your presence, does this spirit, does this energy, even a human being that you may be receiving a message from, does it expand you or does it drain you? Do you feel more clear or do you feel more dependent? And also, Pay attention to anything that is asking you to mute your oversoul to borrow your body. If you ever feel an unlawful current, speak this decree aloud. By the authority of Oversource and my Oversoul, I only allow lawful invocation. If you are of Oversource and my Oversoul, stand before me and witness. You have no jurisdiction to enter my vessel. I remain in full Oversoul command of my vessel because presence is not possession. And by universal sovereign law, no being may override my will or my temple. And any unlawful current is now dismissed, dissolved, and barred from my field. So it is written, so it is spoken, so it is witnessed. So it is done, so it is sealed. Now, my loves, this is not an attack on the sincere. Remember, there are some who really truly believe that they are lawful. I'm not here to attack you. This is simply here for true remembrance, okay? There are many speaking out there truly in remembrance, and I do honor them. However, as a dragon who is obedient to my remembrance and to help others remember, I must guard the threshold and name the law, because some have begun to pose as dragons or other sovereign oversoul architects or archetypes, and while doing so, operating outside of law. And some really are others out of innocence. And unfortunately, they are repeating patterns that cost them their sovereignty. And that's why this message is being brought to you today by the dragon lineage, the primordial ancestors. Okay? This is why the dragons ask me to speak, to give you a standard you can feel in your bones, so that when distortion arrives, you recognize it and you keep your crown, your sovereignty, and your command. And know this, my loves, know this, because this has been brought to my attention and the dragons have asked me to present to you all this message, this transmission. I will be delivering further transmissions on dragon law, flame law, dragon frequency, and dragon blood within the dragon archive. So you will understand how true dragons represent themselves in this realm, lawfully, cleanly, and in command. But for today, anchor this, my loves. Anchor this and know this. Invocation is presence. Evocation is remembrance. And sovereignty is law. And as always, my loves, stay sovereign, stay lit, and stay in command. And know this, you are already crowned. So it is written, so it is spoken, so it is witnessed. So it is done, so it is sealed. So it is torched, scorched, burned, and etched with my dragon blood in an infinite flame, effortlessly and eternally. And I seal this entire scroll, transmission, in the decree within, with the universal code within universal law of 000.infinity 144, flame lock 144 renewed. And as always, I want to thank you for walking in remembrance with us here at the University of Spiritual Intelligence. My loves, take care.